Hello, everyone. Welcome in. It's Tuesday. Yay! Thank you so much for joining me. I got so much sleep last night. I had a wonderful day out at the flea market with all of my friends and my dealers. I sold very well. I got a lot of my stuff sorted. So thank you for watching my last video. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much to the new subscribers. My view counts are up. My subscriber count is up. I'm so excited. And you all continue to support Jeremy's coffee business, bullyruncoffee.com in case you aren't familiar. Jeremy, my partner, has a mobile coffee shop, and so many of you have been ordering coffee, and so many of you have reordered coffee. So thank you so much. And he asked me to thank you. Today's video is going to be on some of my love token bracelets. Each one that I show you today are Victorian. They mainly date between around 1850 and around 1890 on most of these. And this first one I show you is the first one I ever bought. And when people question what were the love token bracelets about, this is a classic example of what they were about. So these were all old coins, old silver coins on these bracelets. Most of the coins that I have in my collection are American, but there are quite a few that are from United Kingdom, England, and Europe. So not every coin that I have on these bracelets is American, but why I show you this one first, it's the first one I ever bought, and this was presented to someone, to a loved one, December 25th of 1897, and it's signed on this token right here. And when these are considered love tokens, the coins sometimes are polished off on both sides, and then the initials of someone that loved someone that was presented to someone else for whether it be a birthday or if someone went on a long trip somewhere and was away from someone for a while, an anniversary. And this one was Christmas. This one was a celebration of Christmas from multiple people given to one person. The bracelets usually are very simple. A sterling silver ring, and then these tiny little rings are soldered on. So I want you just to know that basic kind of hook and eye construction for the closure on these bracelets. And this one is around the late 1890s and into 1897, I think was the last date that I saw on any of these. And these were half dimes. That's a seated Liberty, so that one's from America. And the date is present on some of these. Let me take my loop out and make sure that I'm giving you the correct information. This one is 1856. I'm not going to show you every single token because I did pull out 5 tokens out of my, or 5 bracelets, excuse me, out of my collection. Most of the time when we see these, there were issues and problems with the coins. And since, people almost always had pocket change, that is why they used these coins, because they were readily available. And this one had a slight problem. Had a slight issue, and that was very much so used to present that to someone as a love token. Now, these are not buffed off on the back like most, but I will show you when they started to clean off one side, sand down and polish down. Usually the back side of the coin was then polished off, and then initials were then put onto these bracelets. This one's 1875, and I think this one's European. I think that might be, no, that's Canadian. I'm sorry about that. There's one on this bracelet I thought was from England, if memory serves me correct, or it might be the next bracelet I show you, 1857. So these were just, tokens that were coins that were then provided to this person, and then the bracelet, let's see here, was presented Where did that one go? Here is likely the person that provided this bracelet to the lucky recipient. So this is the loved one's initials that had this engraved and then presented to the person that they loved. I think this is, yeah, that's the Canadian one. I thought there was an English one on here. Let's see. So that is December 25th, 1897. And you can see that that has been clearly buffed off on one side. So there's the coin on one side, and then that surface is then sanded down, and this was presented to a loved one in 1897. Just incredible when you think of giving someone something sentimental and beautiful and, from, a place of love. A lot of times, as historians, we're still trying to figure out what and why some of these bracelets were provided to people. And there's still some information that we're coming up with, and there's a lot of information and a lot of accurate information on Victorian love tokens. Let me see if I can lay these out this way and then show you the back. Let me zoom in, and then I'll show you the back of these as well. So a lot of United States silver coins. This is it looks like an 1888. And then I'll just go around the bracelet so you can see this side, and then we'll flip it over and I'll show you the other side. Again, initials of loved ones that provided these tokens for another person so that they could be remembered. Now, if you think of the 1950s and the 1960s, almost every one of our parents or our grandparents had the tiny little boy and girl heads that were then engraved on the back with the child's name and maybe a date of their birth. We see those as contemporary, quote, love token bracelets in the same kind of mindset, celebrating a child's birthday. Celebrating an important event in someone's life as a mother or a father or a grandmother or a grandfather, and then provided to, either the wife or the mother or the daughter, in fact. So anyways, this is just the much earlier version of that in a way. And this one is, again, a classic, what we consider a belt buckle style bracelet. So it's slightly wider. It is signed on the inside down in here, sterling. The bracelet portion on this one slightly earlier than the last with that simple wire construction, but you see how that comes apart, and then you can adjust the size. So, as the person grew and got older, they could make this larger for an adult-sized bracelet. Never be concerned about these being out of round. I never fuss with them much because the metal is work hardened, meaning the crystalline structure in the sterling shouldn't be bent and rebent. When you do that, you will start to get cracks in the metal. I believe one of the later bracelets I will show you already has some stress lines in the metal. Let me lay down the opposite side of these coins so that you can see the side of the coins that you didn't see in our previous little scan. Excuse me, I just dropped my loop on the floor. What a mess. Okay, got my loop back, and there's always going to be bloopers in my videos. Let me zoom back in on this, and again, thank you so much for joining in. And I have a whole bunch more information to give on love token bracelets, but I just wanted this to be your first dive into love tokens, and specifically Victorian love tokens. I do have some that are slightly earlier than Victorian, but I didn't want to confuse the issue and bring those on. I also have love tokens that are gold. I have many that are 9-karat gold. Most of those are English. And then I do have ones that are 14-karat gold, and those are normally American. So you can see that the back of those coins, I showed you the front of the coins, and when you look at the back of the coins, that's where they are sanded down and then engraved with these wonderful initials, these fantastic monograms of the loved ones that presented these tokens. Some people consider this bright cut as a technique. I wouldn't disagree with that term. I don't know if I agree with that term on these. These are engraved. And look at you can see that the people that gave these had extra money. When you look at this one, much more simple, it may be earlier. to where, the person that was doing the engraving wasn't as talented as this engraver or metalsmith. And again, you have to remember, a lot of these people that were doing this were immigrants that came to the United States from England and from Europe. So they're European craftsmen engraving and producing in America. And also, there were obviously native-born people to America that were also engraving. A lot of times the initials are a little difficult to decipher. Those are definitely two W's. And then when you get into some of the script, this is more than likely a J and an L. On this one. I have learned over time to a G and an M on this one. Some people would say an S. I don't think so because of that sharp point. So it looks more G and M. And then look at that little detail of those little floral sprays. So beautiful that they had that extra little love sentiment. J and an H. The list rolls on. Sometimes when they conjoin them or overlap the initials, it gets a little difficult to tell. It gets a little bit tricky to decipher. So you just have to take your time. A C and a J. Some people might say, is that a wishbone instead? It very well could be. It could be good wishes, from one to another. So yes, anyways, that's my second one. I believe that is the second one that I purchased. And I love the sound that these make. I just love that they're slightly musical. This one, I think, has the crack in the metal. Maybe I'm imagining things. Maybe this one doesn't. Let me see here. I thought one of them had a slight crack in the metal where it had work hardened over time. So this little, belt style with the kind of ball and keyhole design to then lock that in place. Again, when the person was younger and smaller, it would be, that size, which is still about a size, it's about a 6-inch wrist by today's standards. And then when you extend it, this one does, all of these fit me, and that's about a 7-inch wrist on that one. But I really liked the engraving on that buckle style bracelet. Let me lay this one down and show you both sides, because I don't want to, ever in my video disappoint someone by leaving something out. That's never my intention. It's always to show and tell and show you everything. So again, mostly, I believe on this one, maybe all of these were American. Maybe this one's not. No, this one's not. But most of these are American. So this person either traveled that gave this, or it was a loved one and a relative from Europe. From England, United Kingdom. I do have a coin, I think it's Scottish, and maybe one that was German, that was engraved and polished off on another bracelet. This one's 18. Oops, I'm not in the frame here. I have to slow down and look at my camera each and every time. Let's see here if that's going to be in focus. It's a little grainy, but I appreciate you bearing with me. 1876 and 1884, 1884. Let's see here. Boy, that's a tough one. 1880 something. 1884. And then in 1884. So mainly on these bracelets, you will notice that the coins are dated usually between around 1850 and 1890, which is what I stated earlier in the video. Again, I liked the spacing on this bracelet, very considerate of the tokens. And you can see on this one that this one was slightly more expensive because the engraving was slightly more complex. So these people had slightly more money and were better off than the person that had the more simple engraving that I showed earlier. So again, all of these being conjoined monograms, so beautifully executed. Let me bring these up to the camera. I'll show you each one, but you can see that C and an M. I mean, the list rolls on, an E and a C, and it looks like an L, so it's L-E-C, or it's C-E-L, depending on the way you read the monogram in the order. This one, oh yeah, look at that. Absolutely love it. Look at the engraving in that banner. So stunning. And I liked that these were, the jump rings on the top were not soldered through. And remember that sometimes the jump rings are soldered right to the coin, and sometimes the coins and the token is drilled out and a jump ring ran through that. There's both ways of doing it. So don't think that just because these were drilled, they weren't correct. These are correct. Look at that one. Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. So exceptional. And I like the oxidation on these. And again, I'll go over it one more time because people ask, they say, why don't you clean your silver? Look at the detail that pops out, that punches towards you because that's not cleaned and polished. It would be what I would consider a tragedy to polish these. I don't understand why someone would want something so old and so loved to look brand new. I just don't quite understand it. No judgment there. You know, I'm not judging another collector's likes or dislikes. I'm just saying, for me, in my collection, this will never be polished. Look at flow. Absolutely beautiful with that whiplash line and that kind of pie crimped design on the outside. Just so stunning. Millie absolutely loved this person. And you can see that the same person engraved Millie's as this one down here. You know, the same person, and maybe that's husband and wife that then provided, you know, this bracelet, or mom and dad, you know, that provided this bracelet to a darling daughter back, you know, turn of the last century. Susie. Isn't that beautiful? Susie, you know, each one almost says the personality of the person that gave these to the loved one. So beautifully done. And look at the detail in the letters, how detailed that is. And then I look at, you know, modular charm bracelets of today, and they're just so empty and so commercial and so distant. They're not love tokens, you know, they're just a modular charm bracelet that's, you know, steel and gray and cold. You know, there's no warmth in it. And maybe there is judgment in what I just said. This one's very cool. I've always loved the style of this one because it almost reads as more contemporary, almost reads as like proof that there was time travel. Doesn't this look like it's modern in a way, with these kind of urn-shaped bullet charms that were spaced in between the tokens? And these were mainly, I don't think we're going to be able to settle all these down. Mainly these were, I believe most of these were English, at least from my memory. And of course we have American mixed in. This is 1891. And on the back of these, you know, some were left, you know, as the actual coin, and then some again polished off and presented. Love that one very much. I'll go, because I can't lay this one down, I'll just go per token, and I appreciate your patience in letting me show you, and I sure hope you enjoy this video. I have a lot, Nora, that's beautiful. I have a lot more love tokens to eventually dig out and show you. I really loved this one because we don't often see a message on these. They're mainly monograms and initials. The more rare and the more, to me, desirable are ones like this that, you know, are like faith, hope, and charity, and there's the anchor and the word hope. So beautifully executed, and that they left the coin on the back. I just love it. And then see how these were kind of holding the coins and the tokens in place, like as stations go. Grandma. This just says so much love to me, just the word grandma. How simple is that? But the sentiment, it just warms my heart. It really, truly does. And to think that these from, you know, over 100 years ago, Auntie, over 100 years ago, can communicate to us today, and really make me feel the love that these people had for others. And today, I think we need more of that. I really do. At least I know that I want more of that surrounding me. So there's a script E and a B. Again, the you know, the coin on the front, and look how beautiful her face is, and that rich oxidation over time. Look at the little urns, are actually have little facets on them from where they were hand constructed and soldered together. Beautiful labor of love on those. This one is wonderful. You can see that this gentleman, I just feel like it's a man, this gentleman didn't have someone he could pay to engrave. So he got out his pocket knife and he just scratched in JPW. That would have been me back in the day. That would have been me not willing to spend money on having someone else engrave it. I would have found a tool. Look at that. Wow. It's just breathtaking to see some of these. United States of America. I would have never imagined that being an American coin, and I don't think I'm familiar with this coin. 18 is that 1895? Let me look with my loop that I threw on the floor earlier. 1895. Yes, 1895. And I seem a little down today, but I'm not. I'm just so focused on getting outside and going on a bike ride right now. My brain is like, you need to be on your bike. And I'm like, okay. And look, Kitty, what on earth? Kitty gave this 1893 token. And I think, we're almost at the end of this one, and then I have one more bracelet, but hopefully you've bared with me, Papa. And again, that one to me, if someone offered me $50 for that token, I wouldn't sell it. I wouldn't break this bracelet apart for any amount of money. And then Grandpa. So Grandma earlier and Grandpa now, providing this love token. Oh, there's Mama. Yeah, just kind of, I don't know. I don't know how something over 100 years old can communicate with me today, but it most certainly does. And I've always loved these. I've always loved these token bracelets. I just do. Wearability wise, I loved that. Again, that's such a modern, expandable style bracelet, and the metal on this is actually 800 silver. And just so you know, on most of the coins, and I'm sure that there are going to be coin experts that come into the comments, and that's wonderful, but most of the coins on these bracelets are around 90% silver. Approximately, some a little less, some a little more. So everyone calm down and don't lecture me about the metal content, but they're around 90% silver in these coins of the last now 4 bracelets that I showed you. And this is, here, let me put this one here. This is our last one of the day, but let me scoot that for 1 second. Here's some loose ones. Here, I'll scoot that out of the way. That's our grand finale for today. Here's some loose ones. I haven't looked at these in a long time, so you'll have to forgive me. And I love this little push button box. I've always loved these boxes. Most are German. This one's Italy. But yeah, I love these, and I always love the advertising in the top. Now, this is a brooch, and this, I believe, is English, but I kept it because it was an A, and my last name being Adams, I kept this so I could wear this. Hand engraved with an A. Very unusual size, because normally they're not that big. Normally the coin is much, much smaller, but this is a United States American silver dollar, and I believe it's a $quarter. I wouldn't know the exact age on this, but it's got to be 18 something. But they polished off the front of the coin, put the A on with hand engraving, but look how beautiful that's done. Look at the labor of love that it took to cut that down into the surface and then kind of, sand down and file down that edge to give it almost, that bright cut appearance of hand engraving, which completely hand done and wonderfully done. And engraving it's not easy. And I love the tubular hinge. I always tell people about the tube hinge, meaning it's made out of 3 pieces of tubing, very early, very much so Victorian aesthetic. And then that simple C hook on the back with no rollover mechanism. So all original there. But I loved that. And I think that back in the day, I want to say that was like $1 or $2 at a flea market. And then there was this box of these, and I got dust all over inside my box now, but that's okay. I'm just so thankful that my channel isn't on housekeeping. Because it would be a failure of a channel if it was. Let's see here. I always say I collect dust and diamonds. I loved the oxidation on these, and these were never on a bracelet. This is the way I bought these. And I believe when I bought these back in the day, they may have been $8 a piece. And now singular tokens, depending on their complex nature and what they look like. And like this one would be more because of the figural deer on it with the hand engraving. And it's dimensional. The deer is up off the surface. Very difficult. That's just great. Frank. I believe it's Frank. I think so. Yeah, pretty sure it's Frank. Wonderful detail. Just absolutely beautifully engraved. I don't know. This one, I just love this. So that one, to me would be around $40 or $50. A monogrammed one now is around 25 to 35. And that's the going rate. Some people could say a little less, some people could say a little more. That's it's the seller's choice. At that point. But I know that because I'm having such a difficult time finding these in general, that price to me sometimes, people can't buy my emotions off of things. And I've said that before. It's sometimes an emotional thing. And no matter how much money you're offered, it's not enough. This is 1890. Really beautifully done monogram on the back of that love token. Really fantastic. And just a few more and we'll get to the last bracelet and I'll spring you loose and then I am going to go out on my bike. This one I would say would be more along the lines of maybe now $50 to $75. I think some people could ask more, but any kind of scene like this of rural life, of a bridge and a church, the water, the mountains, anything that looks like that is definitely going to be more. And an M and an R, it's going to be more. That one's probably $50, $75, maybe it's even $100 now. But again, the oxidized surface, so wonderful that it was never polished. And I mean never, because I don't see any sign that these have ever been polished because the toning and the oxidation is genuine. Beautifully done on that one. I really do like the attention to the borders and how each one, although so similar, is so different. And I think that's where people get into the collecting part of this, is each one is so different. There's like a fan shape here and then that kind of chatter border or rocker engraved border. And that's a peace dove and beautiful. Maybe the Holy Spirit on that one. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe it's the Holy Spirit. It could be whatever someone wants to make it. Let's just say that. So Holy Spirit is fantastic as well. But who doesn't love peace in their life? Both faith and peace is a beautiful combination. A cattail there. So fantastic. And I would say that they left that kind of central border to put either, mom, dad, brother, sister, or a name. And then there's the monogram, the initials. And so, again, so beautifully done. I love these so much. And the depth of the engraving and that kind of carved down surface. And I loved how direct this one was. Sometimes the more simple they are, the more I love them. And they just feel so good. They're so soft. They just feel love. They feel like what they were meant to portray. And I loved the simplicity of this one. So again, a person of more moderate means, taking a coin out of their pocket and making sure that the person that they gave this to knew that they were loved forever. United States ceded liberty and 1887 on that one. But that one, I don't know, you can just sometimes feel the energy that these things have. And I was talking to my friend the other day on the phone about just kind of the history of jewelry and how these things are so intimate and so personal and so loved that how can you avoid that and not love them? This one is going to be a little tricky because it's loaded and each station on the bracelet has 2 coins on each. So there's going to be basically like per link, there's like, I'd have to show you 4 times. I'm going to do my best here. I'm going to give it my all. And this is a very much so, I would consider maybe one of the earliest of the belt style bracelets that I have, based on that simplistic engraving, hand engraving in between each station. So I'll just kind of give you, this is March 7th, 1891. And of course the coin was older before that. And then the person that presented it, this one's really worn down. You could tell that this person had this one in their pocket for a long time. 1842, so very old. And then hand engraved on the back with, again, an amazing and fancy monogram. 1876. And that one only has 1 on there. But that's an early one too, 1876. Beautiful history of American coins on this one. 1882, monogram on the back. 1882, and another beautiful monogram. When you start to see this foliate design, sometimes just ignore that and distill that down to get the initials out of there. And that one looks like an M and an H. I haven't seen these for a long time because Obviously, I don't have these out in general population. Oh, Lou, how direct is that? Lou with this foliate scroll. And then, oh, Lera, Lera on the back. That's fantastic. You don't see that often, that both sides are polished off. This is a very old coin, 1850 something, I think. 1852, it looks like. The solder goes right over the date. But yeah, that's an early. Anytime I see this style, quote, dime, that would be, yeah, 1852. Yep. And then, let's see here, United States of America, 1884. So I want to thank you all again for being here with me and allowing me to give you some shows and tells. Love the piece stuff on that one. Fills the whole coin, fills the whole token, I should say. I don't know why I always say coin, because these are now tokens. Bell, isn't that beautiful? It's just amazing. And the sailboat and the setting sun, what a beautiful sentiment that is. And you got to wonder, and this butterfly on the back, that's not a common one to see. And any of the pierced ones, people really love the open work pierced ones because they're polished off on both sides normally, and then that monogram is engraved, and then a jeweler drills a hole and then saws that out, solders the ring on the top to make it a token, but saws that out by hand with a jeweler's saw. Look at the attention to detail on that. So small, and I love doing pierce work. It's one of the things that I was known for in school. 1875 on this one, it looks like. Again, if I'm off by a year or so, just please forgive me, because I'm staring at this through my phone. And this is a fantastic version. That's one that you seldom see, so that one might be over $100 now just by itself. So these bracelets, I didn't touch on that, but mainly the bracelets are now going between, on the lower end, between around 250, 275. Charlie, that's beautiful. That's really well done. 1884 maybe. Seated Liberty, yeah. And then this one, T with a B, and there may be another initial there. T with a B. Yeah. And then, let's see what this says. It might be, I'll have to do a little bit of research on that one before I comment, but beautiful engraving, how that's cut down into the surface. Look at the attention to detail where they get into that detail on the design. Incredible handwork. So there, we made it through. Look at that. So thank you so much. Let me zoom back out a little bit. And I do. I really want to thank you, and I want to say I really appreciate each and every one of you. And last night, while I slept so well, I swam through the comments. I did a backstroke through quite a few of them because you have shown me so much grace and so much love, and I really do appreciate that. So before I completely fidget with the with the camera like I always do, I am going to get out and go for a bike ride, and I don't know what else to say besides I look forward to the next video. Hopefully you love this Victorian love token. Very quick show and tell. I'll get into much more important information when I do some of my more in-depth discussions on Victorian jewelry, but at least this gives you a visual catalog of some of the love tokens that you can still find. Please check pawn shops as well, because pawn shops will have a tendency that when these come in, they'll just put them in like a little cup with all the rest of the charms, and you may be able to get, a handful of love tokens from a pawn shop because they just consider them, quote, charms at that point. Some pawn shops do know what a love token is, so you might have to pay a little bit more. Maybe you'll have to pay $15 or $20 a token, but definitely worth it because aren't they beautiful? So I guess I should say, because it's totally true, I absolutely, positively love you.